1923, during the peak of hyperinflation in Germany, paper money became worthless. People burned cash to stay warm. A loaf of bread cost a wheelbarrow full of marks. But in the backyards of the smartest families, there was a currency that never lost its value. It wasn't silver. It wasn't jewelry. It was a specific set of plants. Plants that could stop an infection when antibiotics cost a month's wages. Plants that could replace coffee, sugar, and flour when the stores were empty. Plants that acted as a biological savings account. Today, we call them weeds. We spray them with poison. But if the supply chain broke tomorrow, a patch of these plants would be worth more than a stack of gold bars. This is the lost economy of the victory garden. And the reason you do not know about it is because you cannot tax a medicine that grows for free in the dirt. Number 1. Saffron crocus, Crocus sativus. Let's start with the most literal interpretation of worth more than gold. By weight, saffron is the most expensive spice in the world. It trades at prices higher than gold bullion. It has been a symbol of wealth for 3,000 years. But during World War II, when trade routes were cut and spices disappeared from Europe, families realized they could grow their own fortune. Saffron comes from the stigma of a specific crocus flower. It is a fall-blooming bulb. You plant it once, and it multiplies underground. It requires zero fertilizer. It thrives in poor, dry soil. Every autumn, it pushes up purple flowers. You pluck the 3 red threads from the center, dry them, and you have the red gold. The industrial spice trade wants you to believe that saffron is exotic, that it can only be grown in Iran or Kashmir. They want you to pay $20 for a tiny jar of yellow dust that is often fake-dyed corn silk or marigold petals. The truth is, the saffron crocus is hardy to zone 6. It grows in Pennsylvania. It grows in England. A patch of 100 bulbs fits in a 4x4 raised bed. Within 3 years, those 100 bulbs become 500 bulbs. You are printing money. Historically, saffron wasn't just for flavor. It was a potent antidepressant and mood stabilizer. In times of war and despair, a tea made from saffron was a medicine for the soul. It lifted the spirits. By growing it, you are bypassing a supply chain rife with fraud and slavery. You are securing a tradable commodity that holds value when currency collapses. It is dense, portable wealth. A jar of saffron can buy supplies when paper money cannot. It is the ultimate survival currency, hidden inside a beautiful flower that your neighbors think is just decoration. Number 2. Golden seal Hydrastis canadensis. If saffron is the currency of flavor, golden seal is the currency of health. During the Civil War and later in World War II, when medical supplies ran low, this root was worth its weight in ammunition. It is one of the most powerful natural antibiotics in the North American flora. The root is bright yellow, hence the name. It contains high concentrations of berberine, a compound that destroys bacteria, fungi, and viruses on contact. It was the frontier penicillin. Native Americans used it for everything from eye infections to gangrene. Settlers learned its value quickly. By the 1900s, it was so valuable that it was hunted to near extinction in the wild. Sang hunters would scour the Appalachian Mountains, digging up every root they could find to sell to pharmaceutical companies. Today, it is endangered in the wild, but it is legal to grow in your backyard. It loves shade. It loves the spots where nothing else grows. If you have a shady tree, you have a golden seal farm. The pharmaceutical industry synthesized antibiotics and pushed golden seal into the herbal supplement aisle. But as antibiotic resistance grows, as superbugs become immune to our strongest drugs, science is looking back at berberine. It works differently than penicillin. Bacteria struggled to develop resistance to it. Growing golden seal is a long-term investment. The roots take 3 to 4 years to mature. But once they do, you have a pharmacy in the dirt. You have a tradable antibiotic that doesn't expire. In a crisis, a bottle of golden seal tincture is worth more than a bottle of vodka. It saves lives. The industry hides it by calling it endangered, discouraging cultivation. While they quietly buy up the remaining wild stocks, planting it is an act of conservation and an act of extreme preparation. It is the gold standard of herbal medicine. Number 3. Yarrow Achillea molifolium. You have walked past this plant 1,000 times. You have mowed it. You have ignored it. But if you were a soldier in the trenches of Normandy, you would have prayed for it. Yarrow is known as soldier's woundwort or herba militaris. Its Latin name, Achillea. comes from Achilles, the Greek hero who supposedly used it to heal his soldiers during the Trojan War. This is not mythology, it is biology. Yarrow contains alkaloids and volatile oils that stop bleeding almost instantly. It is a styptic. If you have a deep cut, you chew up a yarrow leaf and pack it into the wound. The bleeding stops. The pain subsides, it disinfects the area. During World War II, when bandages and antiseptics were scarce on the front lines, soldiers used Yarrow. It was the battlefield medic's secret weapon. But Yarrow does more than stop blood. It is a diaphoretic. It induces sweating. If you have a dangerously high fever, Yarrow tea breaks the fever. It pushes the heat out of the body. In an era before Tylenol, this saved children from dying of influenza. Today, the lawn care industry calls it a noxious weed. They sell you weed and feed to kill the yarrow, so your grass looks uniform. They convinced a generation that a green monoculture was better than a living first aid kit. Yarrow is indestructible. It grows in drought. It grows in poor soil. It attracts beneficial insects that protect your garden. Its deep roots mine copper and potassium, fertilizing the plants around it. It is a multifunctional tool that replaces the bandage, the aspirin, and the fertilizer bag. By killing it, we made ourselves dependent on the drugstore for every minor injury. By growing it, we reclaimed the ability to heal our own blood. It is the most valuable weed in the world. Number 4. Comfrey Sympatome officinale. We have talked about comfrey as a fertilizer, but during the resource scarcity of war, its value was far more direct. It was the bone knitter in 1940. If you broke a bone or tore a ligament, recovery was slow and uncertain. Comfrey changed the timeline. It contains allantoin, a cell proliferant that speeds up the replacement of bone and tissue cells. Farmers used it to heal livestock. Mothers used it to heal children. It was a staple of the cottage garden because it served a purpose that no other plant could. It was a structural repair kit for the body. But comfrey had another value during the war. Protein. Dried comfrey leaves contain up to 30% protein. This is higher than almost any other leafy green. During the meat rationing of World War II, people didn't just use it for mulch. They ate it. They fed it to their rabbits and chickens to keep them laying eggs when grain was unavailable. It was a caloric safety net. The suppression of comfrey in the 1980s, based on studies of isolated alkaloids injected into rats, was a convenient way to remove a free medicine and free feed from the market. The industry highlighted the risk to obscure the value. A single comfrey plant is a biomass factory. It can be cut to the ground 5 times a season. It produces hundreds of pounds of material. If you have comfrey, you have fertilizer. You have animal feed. You have medicine. In a collapse scenario, the person with comfrey is the person who can keep their soil fertile when the bags of NPK run out. They are the person who can feed their livestock when the feed store closes. It is a biological engine of independence. The gold here isn't a metal. It is the ability to generate fertility and protein from sunlight and deep soil minerals. Number 5. Jerusalem artichoke, Helianthus tuberosus. This plant represents the gold of calories. In a famine, flavor doesn't matter. Presentation doesn't matter. What matters is energy. During the Nazi occupation of France, the potato crop was confiscated by the army. The French people were left with nothing, except for the tupinumber, the Jerusalem artichoke. The Germans ignored it. They thought it was pig food. They thought it was a weed. But this weed kept thousands of people alive. It is a perennial sunflower that produces massive tubers underground. It yields 4 times as much food per acre as potatoes. It grows in soil that would kill a potato. It requires no hilling, no weeding, no care. It is the ultimate invisible food. You can plant it in a field, and to an outsider, it looks like a patch of wildflowers. The food is hidden underground, safe from confiscation, safe from looters. The tubers are rich in inulin, a type of starch that regulates blood sugar. It is a high-energy food that doesn't spike insulin. After the war, the Jerusalem artichoke was abandoned. It was associated with the bad memories of the occupation. It was branded as a war vegetable. The potato industry spent millions marketing the white potato, a crop that requires massive chemical inputs, as the superior choice. They erased the Jerusalem artichoke because it is too easy. A crop you plant once and harvest forever destroys the seed potato market. It destroys the fertilizer market. By growing it today, you are planting a calorie insurance policy. You are securing a harvest that cannot be destroyed by drought or neglect. It is wealth that sits in the ground, compounding every year, waiting for the day you need it. It is the survivalist's gold standard. Number 6. Tobacco Nicotiana tabacum. This is controversial, but history is clear. In every war, in every economic collapse, in every prison, and in every depression, one substance becomes the de facto currency: tobacco. During World War II, cigarettes were more valuable than cash. They could buy food, safety, and silence. They were the universal trade good. Growing tobacco is legal in most places for personal use. It is a beautiful, large-leafed plant with pink flowers. It grows like a weed because it is a weed. But its value goes beyond smoking. Tobacco is a potent insecticide. If you soak tobacco leaves in water, the nicotine leaches out. Nicotine is a powerful neurotoxin to insects. A spray of tobacco tea kills aphids, mites, and beetles instantly. It is an organic pesticide that you can grow for free. The chemical industry sells neonicotinoid synthetic versions of nicotine that destroy bee populations and cost a fortune. They patented the molecule found in this plant. During the war, gardeners used tobacco water to protect their victory gardens. They didn't need to buy DDT. They had the source code. Growing tobacco is growing a barter item. In a grid-down scenario, a bundle of dried tobacco leaves is worth its weight in silver. It is a painkiller, a currency, and a pesticide. The government taxes tobacco at thousands of %. They regulate the sale heavily. They don't want you growing your own because it bypasses the tax revenue. They want you buying the pack, not planting the seed. It is a plant of power. Whether you smoke or not, its utility as a trade good and a garden tool makes it one of the most valuable plants you can have in a survival garden. It turns sunlight into a chemical that controls pests and buys influence. Number 7. Poppy Papaver somniferum. This plant is the gold of pain relief, specifically the breadseed poppy. It is legal to grow in most places as an ornamental flower. It produces beautiful blooms and the seeds we use on bagels. But the latex in the pod contains the alkaloids that form the basis of morphine and codeine. Before the war on drugs, this was the grandmother's pain medicine. A tea made from the dried pods was used to soothe coughs, stop dysentery, and ease the pain of a toothache or a broken bone. In a situation where the pharmacy is closed, pain is a debilitator. It stops you from working. It stops you from surviving. Having a natural analgesic in the garden is a form of wealth that cannot be quantified. The pharmaceutical industry exists to monopolize pain relief. They took the poppy, synthesized opioids, made them stronger and more addictive, and sold them back to the public, creating an epidemic. The garden poppy is safer, milder, and non-synthetic. It is the raw material. Obviously, there are legal restrictions on processing it into drugs. But growing the plant for its seeds and its beauty is a connection to the history of medicine. It represents the ability to manage suffering without a prescription. During World War II, when morphine supplies were low on the front, medics knew the value of the poppy. It was the difference between agony and rest. By growing it, you are preserving the genetic line of the most important medicinal plant in human history. You are keeping the breadseed alive. It is a beautiful flower that holds a potent secret. It is the ultimate backup plan for a world without doctors. Number 8. Flax Linum usitatisum. Gold isn't just metal, it's utility. Flax is the plant of cloth and oil. During World War II, the supply of cotton was threatened. Wool was rationed. The world turned back to flax. The fibers of the flax stem are what make linen. Linen is stronger than cotton, dries faster, and is naturally antimicrobial. It is the fabric of bandages and summer clothing. But the seeds are the real treasure. Flax seeds are 40% oil. This oil, linseed oil, is a preservative. It protects wood from rotting. It protects metal from rusting. It is the base of paints and varnishes. In a survival situation, maintaining your tools in your shelter is as important as feeding your body. You cannot buy varnish at Home Depot if the trucks stop. You can grow flax, and the oil is edible. It is rich in omega-3 south. It is a high-calorie food source. A patch of flax is a factory. It produces fiber for cloth, oil for tools, and food for people. It is a triple-use crop. The textile industry wants you buying synthetic polyester. The paint industry wants you buying petroleum-based sealants. Flax replaces both. It grows in cool climates where cotton fails. It has beautiful blue flowers. It is easy to process by hand. The knowledge of how to turn a plant into a shirt was common for 5,000 years. We lost it in 50. By growing flax, you are reclaiming the means of production for the very clothes on your back. You are securing the ability to maintain your infrastructure that is wealth. Number 9. Soapwort, Saponaria officinalis. Sanitation is worth more than gold. In every war, disease kills more soldiers than bullets. Typhus, cholera, dysentery, these are the killers of the dirty. When soap ran out in World War II, or when it was too expensive for the poor, they didn't stop washing. They found soapwort. This plant contains high levels of saponins in its leaves and roots. When you crush it and mix it with water, it lathers. It creates a soapy foam that dissolves grease and kills bacteria. It grows like a weed in ditches and along streams. It is a perennial. Modern society is addicted to detergents. We buy plastic bottles of liquid soap made from petroleum. We rely on the store to keep us clean. If the store closes, hygiene collapses, infection spreads. Soapwort is the insurance policy against the plague. A patch of soapwort means you can wash your clothes, your hands, and your body forever, for free. It is gentle enough for skin. Museums still use it to clean delicate antique tapestries because it is less damaging than modern chemicals. The chemical detergent industry is a behemoth. They wiped soapwort from the collective memory to sell you antibacterial gels that create superbugs. Growing soapwort is an act of sanitation sovereignty. It guarantees that you will never be dirty, regardless of the economy. It is the gold of health. It is the humble weed that prevents the pandemic. Number 10. Amaranth, Amaranthus species. This was the gold of the Aztecs. They valued it so highly that the Spanish conquistadors banned it. They burned the fields. They cut off the hands of anyone who grew it. Why? Because amaranth made the population independent. It is a pseudograin. It produces tens of thousands of tiny seeds per plant. These seeds are a complete protein containing all 9 essential amino acids. But unlike wheat or corn, which require good soil and rain, amaranth thrives in drought. It grows in heat that kills other crops. It is a C4 plant. It photosynthesizes with incredible efficiency. During World War II, when wheat harvests failed in parts of Europe and Asia, amaranth, often called pigweed, saved villages. The leaves are edible, tasting like spinach, but with more iron. The seeds can be popped like popcorn or ground into flour. The modern grain cartel is built on corn and wheat. These crops require massive industrial input extractors, fertilizers, pesticides. Amaranth requires nothing. It grows as a weed. By erasing amaranth and promoting corn, the industry ensured that farmers needed to buy seeds and chemicals every year. Amaranth reseeds itself. One plant feeds you forever. It is the freedom grain. It is the crop that the empire couldn't control, so they tried to destroy it. Growing amaranth is reclaiming the food of warriors. It is securing a protein source that doesn't need a butcher or a combine harvester. It is the ultimate survival grain, hidden in the guise of a common weed. These 10 plants are not just botanical curiosities. They are an alternative economy. They represent a system of value that is not based on the dollar, the yen, or the euro. They are based on biological utility. Saffron is wealth. Golden seal is health. Yarrow is first aid. Comfrey is fertility. Tobacco is trade. The industrial world wants you to believe that wealth is a number on a screen. They want you to believe that security is a bank account. But history tells a different story. When the systems break, when the currency inflates, when the supply lines snap, the numbers on the screen vanish. What remains is what you can hold, what you can grow, what you can use. The corporations spent 80 years trying to make you forget these plants. They wanted you to see them as weeds. They wanted you to spray them with poison. Because a family that can grow its own medicine, its own fertilizer, and its own trade goods is a family that doesn't need the corporation. You have a choice. You can keep investing in a fragile system, or you can start planting a legacy of real wealth. The seeds are out there. The soil is waiting. If this video opened your eyes, subscribe and hit the bell. The algorithm favors the products they sell. We favor the truths they hide. Every like and share preserves what they tried to erase. The next vault opens soon.